Boom. All right, what's going on, you guys? It's Royce Jacob. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Crypto Convo, series where we cover exciting news and price action in the land of Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, and crypto-related stocks. You guys, corrections are a healthy part of every bull market. They give the strong hands with long-term time horizons the opportunity to pick up a great asset at a discount from the weaker hands in the short term, okay? So, as I'm sure many of you can assume, my short-term bearish sentiment for Bitcoin and the entirety of the crypto markets is still in place. I do still foresee more downside ahead in the short term. I've had many of these downside price targets in place for the better part of 2 months now, and I do still believe those will play out. So, of course, I do want to go on to rationalize my opinions for you guys from both a fundamental and technical perspective, so let's get into it. As always, we'll quickly go over the topics we'll be discussing, and then we'll dive into each one individually. In front of us, you guys know the drill, is TradingView. We'll cover the following names today in this order, going down the watch, as you can see right here on the right. Talking technicals, talking price targets, kicking it off with who else but the king. Got to kick it off with Bitcoin. Again, you guys, Bitcoin, for the better part of a couple of months now, as I just said, going sideways after falling off an absolute cliff after breaking support, trading within this range. And I know a lot of people think that this is the final range, final stage of capitulation. This is the final range we'll trade in and go sideways for a while prior to seeing them move back up. But I think otherwise, as I've just been stating. So I do want to talk to you guys about my downside price targets here and why that is. Again, kick it off with Bitcoin, move on to Ether, the only two cryptos we're going to talk about today. Going to keep it pretty short and sweet as far as the names we're going to be covering are concerned. So Ether. And while we cover Ether, I do want to give you guys kind of my thoughts on the general altcoin market as well as we dive into the king of the alts. So kick it off with Bitcoin, move on to Ether, and then, because it's been a while and because I know these names are so relevant and meaningful to the Waves family, we got to touch on the Bitcoin miners, okay? So after Ether, we will move on to good old Riot Blockchain, Marathon Digital Holdings, two pretty significant lines of support broken on both of these names in the past couple of days. So, of course, because I do see more downside ahead for Bitcoin, I can't believe that Riot and Mar won't see more downside as well, especially because the greater equity markets as well are looking a little rough at the moment. So, of course, although I am bearish, as I said in the beginning, corrections are a healthy part of every bull market. If you guys are bullish on these names long-term, like I want to make that very clear. My long-term bullish sentiment is still absolutely intact. I still think Bitcoin, Ether, Riot, Mara still have very, very bright futures ahead of them. A lot of upside ahead over the coming years. But again, that's just the nature of the markets, guys. That's the nature of cycles. I've been here many times before. And again, I'm looking forward to these downside price targets because that gives me the opportunity and the good fortune, right? The blessing of being, that's kind of a stretch. The blessing of being able to accumulate these very, very valuable assets in my eyes at discounted rates or reasonable rates, okay? So closed out with Riot more on the charts in terms of fundamentals. I do have a couple articles I want to read over with you guys before we dive into the charts. So this one, Cointelegraph, bulls largely absent as Bitcoin price slips to the bottom of its range near 32K. So this is a pretty interesting article that I stumbled upon today, and it goes over some on-chain metrics that this guy Gas Fring had to share. So I do want to go over a few of the key points here just because I did think this was interesting, and I kind of want to give you guys some of my thoughts as far as just the low volume is concerned and some of these trading patterns from a more back-end perspective are concerned, not just looking at the good old stick figure lines. But we'll kick it off with this, read over a few quick paragraphs here, and then just read over the key points here to kind of reinforce that volume statement that I just made, okay? So if we look at Bitcoin, this looks very similar for all the names we're going to look at today and many of the names across the cryptocurrency sector. You see crazy volume back here, of course, on the run up when everything's great. Bitcoin is just in full bloom. Ether, Riot, Mara, everything is just ripping, going to the moon. You see crazy volume. But since we've broken with support, since we've been in this capitulation, this sideways range, volume has just been continuously just kind of falling off a cliff. And right now we're seeing almost no volume, okay? But that's pretty standard. The summer slump is nothing new, but that is just another catalyst that does lead me to believe that we probably will see a little bit more downside ahead in the near future, okay? So just read a few key points here prior to jumping into the charts. Again, just reinforcing that bearish technical argument with some bearish fundamentals as well. Again, you guys, it's no fun being a bear, but that's the reality. Again, it's fun though, picking up these great assets at discounted rates, okay? So before we do dive in, I will ask you guys to please give the video a like. if you do go on to gain value from it today, or if you are excited to accumulate at more reasonable rates like I am for the long term. Got the diamonds, baby. Subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, want to catch more content like this. And no portfolio shout out today, but I do need to shout out our friends, the Waves family friends over at BlockFi. So blessed to have these guys and our partners. Future of finance, the old way of doing things doesn't cut it anymore. With BlockFi, you can use cryptocurrency to earn interest at up to 7.5% APY, borrow cash, and buy or sell crypto. There are no hidden fees, no minimum balances, and no reason to wait. So again, you guys, long before BlockFi sponsored the Waves family, I was a big fan and I was a user of BlockFi, okay? BlockFi, no-brainer in my mind, even at times when crypto is going down like it is right now. The beauty of having your money in BlockFi earning interest is that even when the crypto markets are going down, your Bitcoin, your Ether, whatever you happen to have in here, you can use stable coins as well. I think there's actually still a special on stable coins. So whatever given crypto you happen to have in here, even if the market is going down, you're earning interest on it, okay? So at least your crypto is earning you something while it's losing you something at the same time. So earn more from your crypto. Again, as I just read, BlockFi does has a host of sick features on this. BlockFi is truly one of those generational companies in the space that I think is going to be around for, as I just said, generations to come. But again, the interest account, in my opinion, is the reason I'm a user and the reason that I think BlockFi is kind of a no-brainer. With the BlockFi interest accounts, your cryptocurrency can earn up to 7.5% APY. Interest accrues daily and is paid monthly. There are no hidden fees, no minimum balances, and no reason to wait. So right here is a quick calculator for you guys. You have 1 Bitcoin in your BlockFi interest account for 10 years at Bitcoin's current price. That'll earn you just under $8,000 of US dollars in interest over that 10 years. And keep in mind, the more Bitcoin goes up, because it's based on percentage, the more interest you're going to earn. So this number is going to be a lot higher than this if Bitcoin, when Bitcoin is sitting at 100K, this number is going to be a lot higher, okay? So again, just go up 2 years, 13, just that classic multiplier right there. And that's the beauty of wealth creation. That's the beauty of compounding interest, is actually having an asset, not just a US dollar. Like, that's great in itself. Just even USD earning interest over time is great. But an appreciating asset like Bitcoin, while earning interest over the course of a decade, 2 decades, a lifetime, that's how you build generational wealth, okay? So if you guys do want to sign up for BlockFi, check out BlockFi.com/Royce. That is the Waves family code. Get up to $250 in free Bitcoin or crypto when you sign up through this link. And I think you have to deposit like 10K into your account to get $250. But of course, like 5K, you get like 125 or something. Regardless, if you sign up through this link, both you and I get a nice little chunk of free crypto. So win-win situation. Even if you guys don't use this link, go check out BlockFi for yourself. Always do your own due diligence. But again, I've been a user of BlockFi for a long time. I love this product, and I will continue to put Bitcoin into my BlockFi account personally. All right. So again, BlockFi.com/Royce really means a lot if you guys check it out. Let me know in the comments if you guys have a BlockFi account already, or if you're excited to make one. Okay. So that's it. Plugs out of the way, housekeeping out of the way. Let's dive into the charts. Okay. But before we dive into the charts, you guys know we have to establish that fundamental base case. So let's read over this quickly, go over these highlights, and then we'll dive straight into the charts and talk technicals for the remainder of the video. Okay, so traders appear to be sitting on their hands even as Bitcoin price drops closer to a critical support level at $32,000. Within the past few hours, a fresh wave of selling pushed Bitcoin price close to the $32,000 support level as a low trading volume and general disinterest from traders saw the price revisit the lower section of its current range. The price of Ether also fell under pressure alongside Bitcoin as the building momentum ahead of the network's upcoming London hard fork failed to support a price above $2,000, resulting in a daily low of $1,900. Bitcoin's compression range tightens. Some insights into the current market conditions were offered by Gas Freeing, a pseudonymous Twitter account who posted the following tweet highlighting previous instances of range-bound trading for BTC. Here's a chart showing occasions where BTC has remained range-bound. BitMEX funding regimes help determine the direction of the breakout. Barring Q4 2018, when funding flipped from a negative to a positive regime, a month-long regime usually helps determine the direction. So let's see if we can... No, you don't. I don't want to open that. We'll take a look at this one. As shown in the chart below, Bitcoin's price has a tendency to trade within a consistent range following significant price moves, capitulation, with previous instances lasting up to 132 days, as was the case in late 2018 to early 2019 crypto winter. So let's take a quick look at this. We can zoom in on this a little bit. Boop, boop. So again, you guys, as you guys can see here, following like large moves. Again, that's what like, if you guys have played cycles before, this is nothing new to you at all. Following significant moves, you usually find that floor, you usually find that base, and trade within that range. So I will say, as I stated in the beginning, once again, I do not think we're in the final range yet. I do still think that realistic range is going to be more, I'm going to say like $22,000 to $28,000, maybe $20,000 to $30,000 to play it a little safer. But to be a little more specific, $22,000 to $28,000 I think is going to be the true accumulation range. A little spoiler before we dive into the charts. But that is because I do think this massive head and shoulders pattern that we will get into is going to play out, okay? That said, as you guys can see right here, you may make the argument this is kind of a head and shoulders as well right here. So left shoulder, head, that's a very long shoulder. And you could say that this might have drawn out for a long time too and played out that head and shoulders. So this, like, just seeing that can kind of discredit the massive head and shoulders. We have been range bound once again in this range for the better part of 2 months now. So we have been going sideways for the better part of 2 months, which does kind of discredit this head and shoulders a little bit. But I still think, just given all the macroeconomic factors, that inflation report that just came out, very negative. The markets aren't looking super hot right now either. I do think that Bitcoin will likely see a little bit more downside before trading in that final range, before going back to the moon, okay? And again, things take time. This is just the nature of the game. That's okay. More time to accumulate, more time to turn that US dollars that's being inflated away into solid money. I was going to say God's money, that's gold, but God's digital money, that is Bitcoin, okay? So let's move down here, read a few more paragraphs, not zoom there. The current compression range has lasted 55 days, with a tighter range between $30,000 and $36,500 being seen since June 19th. According to Gas Frame, and the previous instance of a layered, stricter compression seen in Q4 of 2018 and the summer of 2020, the period of tighter compression lasted for roughly half the overall period. And I quote, "This tells me that we might have another 2 weeks or so of such tighter compression, which will take the periods up to 34 and 68 days respectively." Okay, so not going to go into the depths of this, but this just, again, you guys, this is nothing new, you guys. After we see large moves like this, after we see these big sell-offs, trade sideways, it's no surprise that we're seeing low volume as well. But it just shows general disinterest. Remember, there was that flurry over the past month specifically, where there was just like, as I just said, a flurry of fundamental catalysts, of negative fundamental catalysts, of negative pieces of news that led traders not only to be disinterested in Bitcoin, but to be actually like dismayed and kind of bummed out around Bitcoin in the cryptocurrency space, which again leads to this negative price action, led us to fall off a cliff. Strictly from a technical perspective, as many of you know, I like my price target for Bitcoin has been $25,000 since we broke support at on May 14th in mid-May. So since that was broken, since we were really close like a daily and weekly below that level, that's when I liquidated a lot of my personal portfolio for the first time since I bought a lot of it. And that's why I'm excited to reconvert a lot of what I liquidated into like USDC back into Bitcoin, back into Ether, back into EOS, Link, once we do finally finish this correction and finally really like start that true capitulating range that I do believe we will see with more downside ahead. Okay, so Bitcoin, let's go over this quickly. This again, like, this is pretty much just talking volume, so we'll just go over these key points and dive into the charts. Trading volume at the largest exchanges, including Coinbase, Kraken, Binance, and Bitstamp, fell more than 40% in June, according to Crypto Compare. In June, the price of Bitcoin hit a monthly low of $28,908. A daily volume maximum of $138.2 billion was down 42% from the intra-month high in May. So, of course, you guys, makes sense. The more the price goes down, like, that's actually pretty closely correlated to the correction in terms of the price. So like what did Bitcoin see? So from the peak, let's do a quick price range here. Price range, Bitcoin from its peak at about 65K to the low at just about 28.5, 56% correction. So again, you guys, over the course of these things, like since I've been trading crypto, I've seen some crazy corrections, like 50% correction. We saw that back like in a single day back in March, which was a Black Swan event. But regardless, it's just, you develop a stomach, you develop that thick skin, you develop those calluses for the volatility. And that's why like this, like price action like this doesn't really faze me. I still hold a lot of Bitcoin, you guys, and I'm not bummed out at this point. I'm definitely not selling anymore, but again, it doesn't phase me. Although I hold a bag of Bitcoin, I do still want to see it come down to $20,000 to $25,000 just because I want to reconvert, again, a lot of that USDC that I liquidated back into Bitcoin for the long term, okay? So I've kind of been alluding to a lot of this over the course of the video in bits and pieces, but when it comes to the actual technicals, we are on the daily candles right now, going to keep this pretty macro. Again, if you wanted a perfectly symmetrical head and shoulders pattern, obviously head and shoulders being a pattern that looks like a head and shoulders bearish pattern, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, and this would have resolved at the end of June if this played out perfectly symmetrical right here. But actually, if you bring this to over here at the true resolution, what I would determine to be the true resolution of this shoulder, let's see how this looks, okay? So this actually looks pretty darn similar right now. Boom, boom, copy paste that real quick. So from, call that fairly even right there, from the real dip up to the real dip down. That brings us to exactly today or tomorrow, okay? So that's pretty damn close, you guys, from the base of this head and shoulders, which I'm going to say is $20,000 prior to this massive move up. If we zoom out, that becomes a lot more apparent. So the true base of the shoulders, again, the 2017 previous high around $20,000, went like so much resistance there for like a month. We were struggling to break through $20,000 because it was obviously that 2017 high. There was a strong psychological barrier there. Once that was broken, we started going absolutely parabolic straight up to about $40,000, 2x in the span of like a month. Good old days. Let me know down below if you guys remember those days. Riot and Mar were, of course, popping off as well during that time. But that is going to be the base of the shoulder, in my technical opinion, is going to be about $20,000, okay? So I know in the title, I'm going to say $25,000. That's still conservative. I'm personally expecting Bitcoin to hit a low of $20,000. Now, a lot of traders are going to be eyeballing that. So would not be surprised if Bitcoin bottoms out completely at about $22,000 just because all the sell orders, if there's a sell order for 20K, it's probably going to be immediately eaten right back up. So 22K is like a conservative bottom target, but would not be surprised at all to see Bitcoin bottom out for real at about $20,000, okay? But you could also say that we will see some resistance here at the first initial high after breaking the 2017 high, which is around $24,000. That's why I say 25K. More specifically, $24,500, okay? So that is the middle of this range. I think this range is the true actual capitulation range. I think that Bitcoin will likely trade in this range. As I said, this is like 20 to 30K. To be a little more specific, $22,000 to $28,000 for a decent amount of time. But again, Bitcoin still holds a lot of very, very promising fundamental prospects. Still the greatest inflation hedge in human history, in my personal opinion, the most efficient, just in almost every metric aside from physical touch is the most beautifully designed inflation hedge and one of the most beautifully designed technological innovations in human history. So very long-term bullish. I'll just say that right now. My price targets for Bitcoin, $22,000 to $28,000. $25,000 is where I'm personally more comfortable accumulating. So once we see that $25,000 Bitcoin, my wallet is ready. The transfer button is ready to be hit. Okay, so let's move on to Ether quick. We'll kind of breeze through these just because, again, when Bitcoin's not doing good, especially when the markets aren't doing good and Bitcoin isn't doing it at the same time, altcoins are probably going to be doing especially worse. And then Bitcoin-related equities like Riot and Mar are probably going to see some very, very significant short-term pain, okay? So regardless, Ethereum is coming down almost perfectly to bounce off this line of what was previous resistance using as new support. TA101 right there. Previous resistance will become new support. So you can see Ether was in this descending channel right here, spanning from the beginning of June, broke out of it for a little while while also breaking above this red line right here, which is a very significant line of overall support for Ether's overall ascending channel, but just overall uptrend. This red line right here, you can see it's definitely in play over the course of these bounces and pullbacks. But Ether now coming down almost perfectly to test previous resistance as new support. I wouldn't be surprised if we do see Ether over the course of the coming month. This target lands on August 1st, just slowly coming down, okay? Remember, these are on the daily candle, so this is going to span a while. So over the course of the next like 2 to 3 weeks, just see Ether kind of following this line of resistance, new support, on the way down to hit the overall target, my overall target at least of about $1,350 to $1,400, okay? So same thing as Bitcoin, not quite the head and shoulders, but with Bitcoin, I didn't mention this, but it's the reversion to the mean in every hype cycle I've ever played in my entire life. Once overall support of this rally, of the hype cycle, of the FOMO cycle has been broken, you almost always, way more often than not, revert to the mean or revisit the initial high of that rally. Okay, so for Bitcoin, that initial high is either $20,000 or $24,500. That's where the true initial highs were. But with Ether, that initial high of this rally, a little bit lower than 2017's high, but still in the same general area, is at about 1350. Okay, so where am I personally comfortable accumulating Ether? 1350, 1500 is a bargain to me, considering I do think Ether is going to see $10,000 over the coming 2-3 years, maybe 5 years, but I think we're easily going to see a 5-digit Ethereum in the not so distant future. So I'm personally comfortable accumulating here, in all honesty, but because I'm a trader, I'm an investor, I'm trying to optimize my profits, and I do just looking at everything, lower highs, lower lows on everything, decline in volume. Every technical indicator on each of these charts is bearish short term. So I'm waiting for that opportunity to optimize profits for the long term, and I do look forward to accumulating Ether around $1,400 to $1,500, maybe $1,350 if we're lucky. Okay, so that's Ether. Let's move on to Riot tomorrow. Riot Blockchain today, as I said, you guys broke a very, very significant line of support and resistance. So over the past couple of days, very, very bearish for Riot. Very promising up here. Riot did break the overall line of support. As you guys can see here, this red line, very strong line, very, very bullish for Riot. Once it broke this line, that made me believe that even if Bitcoin was to fall a little bit more, maybe even Riot could withstand the storm, because this is such a strong line of resistance. I'm sorry, I was just saying support, of resistance, of overall resistance from the peak way back here in mid-February. That was broken, but unfortunately, Riot just usually, for future reference, you guys, when you see a breakout like this and then it immediately goes back to use, once again, that previous resistance as a new support, declining volume, that usually means that, again, a decline in volume a lot of times does mean that we're going to see a big move in either direction. Obviously, the question is which direction, but if you see this happen, this right here is usually a pretty bearish setup. And unfortunately, a few days ago, Riot did officially break back below this line of resistance. That's not good. And it also today broke a very strong level of support on this beautiful ascending channel that Riot's been in since my birthday, May 19th. Okay, so again, used multiple touch points on this line of support here. Just yesterday broke below that, closed the daily below it. Saw a bad day today. It would not surprise me at all. I'd be surprised actually if it saw a good day tomorrow. So I do think more downside is still on the horizon. My target, same thing here, you guys, the reversion to the mean. Okay, so I do think that Riot, if you're being completely honest, worst case scenario for Riot is about $11, because you could say this is actually the actual initial high of Riot Blockchain's rally. But conservatively, I'm going to call this the initial high right here. Nice psychological even around $15. I'm personally very, very excited and very hopeful, in all honesty, that we do see a $15 Riot. So I can Riot up. I can bag up on one of my favorite stocks in the entire market. Okay, you guys know Riot, again, Riot and Mara, both very, very close friends of the Waves family, done a lot for us in the past, and I've not by any means given up on them, especially with the China news. I think there's so many macro fundamentals that lead Riot to a lot of upside in the future. Right now, of course, the optics around Riot are bleak. Optics are very important, especially in this very retail-driven environment. So more downside is okay, once again, because it gives us an opportunity to accumulate if you're bullish on it like I am long term. Let's close it out with good old Miss Mara Moon. So Mara, same thing here, breaking line of support on this beautiful ascending channel, very textbook ascending channel, broke the line of support, about to set. It is still technically setting a higher low as long as we are above 2450. We are still setting a technical higher low, but because Bitcoin is not looking good, because crypto isn't looking good, because equities are not looking good, and because we did break this line of support technically, I do think more downside is ahead for Mara Moon, and I do think Mara is on its way back down to about $14. So Mara, same thing here. Riot was 11, the true low for 666. It's a little dark. So we'll go 667. Okay, $7 is actually this initial high back here. I can't imagine Mara comes down there. Their Bitcoin reserves are just too significant and too powerful. But I would not be surprised at all to see a $14, maybe $13, $14 Mara. If Riot gets down to 15, 16, 13, 14 for Mara sounds about right, just because that's how they usually trail each other. So downside price target for Mara is going to be 13 to $14. Riot is going to be 15 to 16. Ether is about 1,400. Bitcoin is going to 25K. Okay, and of course they can all go a little lower than that, but those are where I'm personally comfortable accumulating for the long term. All right, so we'll call it there, you guys. Please let me know if you think this analysis is absolutely whack and you think we're going back to the moon, or if you think we're going to be trading in this range for a while. Like this article said, again, you guys, I wanted to give you guys that kind of opposing opinion. Although I'm bearish, I could obviously be wrong. That's very evident. There's no way that I can guarantee the fact that I'm correct. No one can guarantee anything, okay? So maybe we are trading in this range for another couple of weeks and then start to go up again. But again, given all the macroeconomic fundamentals that are occurring right now just in the ether, I do think the more short-term downside is ahead, and I'm stoked to pick up a bag of all of my favorite plays in the space, okay? So, of course, if you guys do want to know exactly what I'm trading, if you guys do want to know exactly what I'm buying, how much I'm buying, what I'm buying, if I'm buying calls or anything, complete portfolio, daily newsletter, first link down in the description, 15 bones a month if you want to know the exact breakdown of my literally entire portfolio, not only crypto, but EVs, biotechs, all that good stuff. And with every update, every trading day during market hours, I send out an email newsletter explaining my thoughts as well, okay? So, again, let me know in the comments, you guys, if you're excited to pick up a bag at some discounted prices, or if you think this analysis was absolutely whack and you're just buying more right now, okay? But regardless, let me know in the comments down below. Always love learning from you guys. Always love talking shop with you guys. So, I'll catch you downstairs. And until next time, always remember, take action, make waves. Peace.